Prompt. We need something more specific.
Ideal law.
No, -1. To Shreya.
Boyle's gas law.
No, -1. Time. You're going for Charles's law. Charles's law. Okay. Toss it 3. All electrons in singly filled orbital should have the same value for this quantity according to Hund's rule. This value is either positive 1/2 or negative 1/2 for fermions by the Pauli exclusion principle, depicted with either an upward arrow or downward. To Arnold, say it again. No, sorry, -2. This is, for the points, what last quantum number in electrons' intrinsic angular momentum denoted by m sub s. Time, we're going for electron spin on that. Toss it 4. On these diagrams, consanguineous unions are represented by a double line and successive generations are labeled with Roman numerals. A half-shaded shape on one of these diagrams indicates a heterozygote or carrier of a condition such as color blindness or Huntington's disease. For the points, name these diagrams used to visualize. To Shreya?
Punnett squares.
Not Punnett squares, -2. Name these diagrams used to visualize how genetic disorders are transmitted through a family's lineage. Time, we're going for pedigree charts. Pedigree charts. Toss it 5. This museum contains the Fels Planetarium, the second oldest planetarium in the United States. This museum contains a national memorial to its namesake that was designed by John Wyndham and modeled after the Pantheon in Rome. This institution also displays multiple possessions from its namesake, including a glass harmonica and a lightning rod. For the point, over to Shreya.
Franklin Institute.
The Franklin Institute is correct for 4 points. Yes, lightning rod and Franklin. Wounds to phloem and xylem tissues trigger release of these compounds to induce cell differentiation. The most common and basic form of these hormones is indole-free acetic acid. The release of these hormones lowers the pH and breaks down the cellulose of the cell wall to induce tropisms. For the points, name these plant hormones that promote cell elongation and regulate growth. To Shreya.
Growth hormone.
Prompt. Want something more specific.
Human growth hormone.
No, -1. Time, we're going for auxins. Toss at 7. Aside from Venus, this is a known object to contain racetrack-like coronae, including 3 named Elsinore, Arden, and Inverness. This body contains a cliff called Verona Rupes, a 12-mile-high escarpment, which is the tallest cliff in the solar system. This body is named for the daughter of Prospero in Shakespeare's The Tempest, which also lends its name to its neighboring moon, Ariel. For the points, name the smallest of Uranus's 5 major satellites orbiting alongside Umbriel, Titania, and Oberon. Time. This is Miranda. Toss 8. One layer of this body part primarily hosts a tissue-resident macrophage called the Langerhans cell. That layer, the stratum spinosum, attaches via desmosomes to the deepest layer of this body part. Over to Avi.
Skin.
Prompt. Something a little more specific.
Skin tissue.
One more prompt. A -2. To the deepest layer of this body part, the stratum basale. About 90% of this body part consists of keratinocytes, though it also
Nails.
no -2. Though it also contains touch receptors called Merkel cells and pigment-producing melanocytes. For the points, name this outermost layer of the skin.
Epidermis.
Epidermis is correct for 3 points to 80. Toss of 9, we will cross-check the scores after 10. These structures occupy a rectangular stripe in the 3rd quadrant of a Ramachandran plot because they have 5 psi angles at -60 and -45 degrees. Proline is known as the breaker of these structures, which contain hydrogen bonds between every 4 amino acids. For the points, name these protein secondary structures contrasting with beta sheets, which have a coiled appearance.
Myelin sheath.
Now, -1. Time, we're going for alpha helix or alpha helices, plus 10. When the size of the cells of these organisms diminishes after cell division, specialized zygote cells called oxospores restore them to their initial size. These organisms are called the jewels of the sea and living opals, since their cell walls, or frustules, are composed of silica. Which is over to Shreya.
Oysters.
Oysters, -2, which is the main constituent of glass. For the points, name the single-celled algae that inhabit marine ecosystems.
Phytoplankton.
Prompt.
Zooplankton.
No, -1. Over to Shreya.
Coral reef.
No, that's -1 as well. That's 3. We're going for diet.
I have Shri at -1, and I have Armand at -3.
Okay.
Okay. Scores been cross-checked. Plus 11. Harvey Fletcher was among the participants in this 1909 experiment that took place in the Ryerson lab at the University of Chicago. A pair of metal surfaces were placed parallel to one another in order to observe a set of droplets in this experiment. For the points, name this experiment performed by Robert Millikan, which measured the charge of an electron. Over to Avi.
Oil drop experiment.
The oil drop experiment, good for 3 points. Toss at 12. Leif Sturmer's dissertation examined the development of this organism, which he grouped as a member of Archeopoda. Sprigina may have been an ancestor to these organisms, which came to dominate sea environments. Paradoxides and Phacops are among the many genera of these organisms, whose roles include that of a filter feeder and a seabed predator. For the points, name these now extinct marine arthropods, whose name means 3 lobes. Over to Shreya.
Trilobite.
Trilobites is correct for 3 points. Toss at 13. In proving Vinograd's theorem, one can use a sum named for this mathematician, represented as C sub q of n. This mathematician's namesake primes are defined as the difference between pi of x and between pi of x and pi of x minus 2. This man, who calculated Euler's constant to 15 decimal places, hailed from modern-day Tamil Nadu. For the points, name this Indian mathematician. Over to Shreya.
Ramanujam.
Say it again.
Ramanujam.
No. Tamil Nadu. For the points, name this Indian mathematician who founded a formula for the infinite series of pi. Time. This is Srinivasa Ramanujan.
That's the same person. That's the same person.
Okay. I heard twice.
Yeah, Ramanujan, that's the same person. Same person. India.
Oh, there seems to be a consensus from more than just the players' parents. So I will defer and accept it.
You get the points.
You get the points. All right.
That's
Sorry, I'm not
4.
fluent in tongue.
That's 4 points.
Will be 4.
So you went to 6. Let's get 6 points right now. Thank you, parents.
Give this from the audience/protest meeting. Class of 14. A 2023 study found that in the equatorial region, the apex height of this region is approximately 18 kilometers, deriving from a Greek word here is correct for 4 points. 15. The industrial production of phosgene often involves the passing of chlorine and a purified form of this compound through a catalyst of porous activated charcoal. The Fischer-Tropsch process involves the creation of hydrocarbons from a mixture of hydrogen and this compound. Dizziness and cherry red skin are among the symptoms of a condition involving excess inhalation of this odorless compound known as its namesake poisoning. For the points, in this compound with chemical symbol CO. Over to Arnav.
Is that fluorine?
No, -1 to Avi. Say it again.
Carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide for 3. Yeah.
So Avi?
Yes, 3 points to Avi. -1 to Arnav. 16. The dead box type of these proteins function during RNA metabolism. Examples of these proteins, such as MCM2, are loaded onto AT-rich ORI sites during a licensing step. Topoisomerases relieve the tension created by these enzymes, which initiate replication by breaking the hydrogen bonds between nucleobases. For the points, name this class of enzymes that unwinds RNA and DNA. To Avi?
Heliocases?
Say it again.
Heliocases?
No. Minus 1. To Armand?
Amino acids.
No, minus 1. Time, it's helicases. I heard heliocases twice, which is why I asked you. 17. A location known as this landform hurricane variety was as containing faultless shinnerock conglomerate. Escarpments characterized by steep inclines surround this landform's central feature, whose summit regions are more extensive than those of buttes. A particularly large one of these, known as the grand variety. Over to Shreya.
Canyons?
No, minus 2. Grand variety can be found in Colorado, with the name meaning table in Spanish. These are Shreya.
Mesa?
Mesa for 4 points. 18. Finland's Lake Pohjolampi was the site of an experiment manipulating density and this quantity for invertebrates. The total amount of organically bound carbon is sometimes used as a proxy for this ecological quantity. Primary production is a measure of the total increase in this quantity for the points, name this quantity equal to the total amount of living matter found in a specific ecosystem.
Biomass?
Biomass is correct for 3 points. Armand.
Oh, that's not, I'm not.
Sorry.
That's number 3. Yes, thank you. That's -2.
To Armand on that.
Armand was that.
No, Armand.
Yeah, Armand was that. That is right.
Okay, 19. This man's interest in anesthesia was evident in his 1847 essay on the inhalation of the vapor of ether, which was published after he administered chloroform to Queen Victoria while she was in labor with Prince Leopold. This man wrote, I suspected some contamination of the water of the much frequented street pump in Broad Street in response to the 1854 cholera outbreak in Soho, London. For the points, name this English physician considered to be the father of epidemiology. Time, this is John Snow. 20, and then we'll cross-check the scores. The oldest hominin produced examples of these objects, which are located at Lake Toli, Tanzania, and were formed in volcanic ash. Examining the spacing of these objects provides the best evidence for a dinosaur's speed, and they can be used to determine footprints. Say it again.
Footprints?
Footprints for 5 points to 80, yes. Okay. Now let's cross-check the scores.
I've got Aiden at 8.
Yes.
Avi at 7.
Yes.
Arnav at -2.
Yes.
Shreyan at 10.
Yes.
Shreya at 0.
Yes.
And Armand at -4.
Correct.
Okay, players, 10 important questions to go. That's the one. Here's 21. I need something specific here, okay? And we'll prompt you if I need more. But remember, if you can't come up with it after the prompt, it's -1 or 2. So buzz accordingly. Good luck. The lower portion of this specific kind of structure is comprised primarily from ultramafic cumulations derived from melt from a deeper adjacent region. Gaps in this specific region are filled with crystal mush that later became sheeted dikes and pillow lava. This specific structure is made up of denser basalt, which causes it to subduct under its terrestrial continental counterpart. For the points, over to Avi.
Oceanic crust.
Exactly correct. Oceanic crust for 4 points. 22. These organisms use their tail fibers to grasp their prey and initiate reversible and irreversible binding. The virulent type of these organisms reproduces through the lytic cycle as opposed to the temperate variety. Some of these organisms integrate themselves into their host genomes through lysogeny, as seen in their lambda type. For the points, name these viruses named for infecting prokaryotes.
Bacteriophages?
Bacteriophages is correct for 3 points to Arnaud. Toss 23. This man is the alphabetically first namesake of an approach that combines an elements enthalpies of ionization and atomization using Hess's law, along with J. Robert Oppenheimer. This man names an approximation that assumes the motion of atomic nuclei and electrons can be treated separately. For the points, name this German physicist who, with Fritz Haber, names a cycle used to calculate the lattice energy of a crystal. Time, this is Max Bohr. Max Bohr. Toss 24. 1.4 cyclohexadienes are created from arenes in a type of this reaction named for Arthur Birch. This reaction lends its name to a form of elimination in organometallic chemistry. Hydrogenation is a class of this type of reaction which happens at the cathode of an electrochemical cell. Oxidation is contrasted with
Reduction.
Reduction, yes, for 5 points for the last syllable of 5-point power. 25, then we'll cross-check the scores. The Cayman Trough contains the deepest known site of these ecosystems called Bibi, which generally form on divergent plate boundaries. Animals such as the Pompeii worm and the scaly-foot gastropod thrive in these ecosystems because they receive energy and nutrients from bacteria undergoing chemosynthesis. Black and white smokers are the two conditions.
The hydrothermal vents?
5 points.
We currently have a tie in the lead between Avi and Arnav at 11 points apiece. Is that confirmed? Yep.
Okay, every single player is still certainly alive for the national championship.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, 6 possible points per question, 5 to go. Good luck, players. Here's 26. The original author of the servo engine is this organization, and this company developed an email client known as Thunderbird. Jason Calacanis claimed he gained over $70 million in 2006 due to the inclusion of a Google search feature in this company's most well-known product. That open source product launched by this company was a competitor of Internet Explorer. For the point, name this company that developed the Firefox browser. To Shreyan.
Mozilla?
Mozilla for 3 points. 27. This constellation is home to a feature sometimes referred to as Charles's Wain and contains an asterism called the 3 leaves of the gazelle. Merak is the beta star of this constellation, which also includes a feature that includes to Shreya.
From the Great Bear?
I can accept that, yes, for 5 points, or Ursa Major. 28. IR8 was a variety of this crop developed in the 1960s, primarily developed for cultivation in the Philippines and India. This crops to Avi.
Rice?
6 points. 2 questions to go.
We have a new leader, Avi with 17 points, Shreyan with 13.
All right, players.
Arnav with 11, all are still in contention for the tie.
Okay, once again, on question 29, I need something specific. Remember, if I prompt you and you can't come up with it, it's an A. Focus, good luck. They're not planets, but the Kelvin-Helmholtz mechanism is exhibited by these objects, which are tested for in a technique that measures their spectral type and lithium content. Unlike main sequence, over to 80.
Brown dwarfs?
Brown dwarfs is correct for 5 points.
We have a tie for third as of now, going into the last toss-up. All are still in contention.
Good luck, players. Here we go. Be fresh. Toss-up. Voigt notation can be used to express this law as a 6x6 compliance matrix, which was used by Cauchy in his generalization of this law to three-dimensional bodies. The generalized form of this law can be written using both Poisson's ratio and Young's modulus. Materials for which this law is applicable are referred to as linear elastic. For the points, name this law that describes the compression of a spring, which is often written as over to Avi. Is correct for 4. Not quite over yet, because as mentioned, we have to play off all ties. And at the moment, there is a tie for a second between Aiden and Shreya. Okay, so just for the two of you. Now, hold on, just 1 second. So I'm probably going to answer it. In a tiebreaker, there are no negs. Somebody has to get a question correct. Okay, so it's not 6 by 4, 3, neg 2, neg 1. It's first correct answer wins. Okay, if you don't get it on the first question, we'll continue until somebody answers correctly. Understood? Did I answer your question?
No.
Okay, what's your question?
So, if does the user of the tiebreaker get third place?
Yes. Okay, yeah. So this is just for second place, just between Shreya and Aiden. Okay, good luck, players. Here we go. Miso and Sao orbit this planet, which is home to a ring named for a man who predicted its position, John Couch Adams. In 1989, Voyager 2 flew by the Great Dark Spot.
Neptune.
Is correct. All students and their families can please proceed to Arlington 3-4. That's the big ballroom outside the souvenir desk. The awards will be handed out up there immediately once we get out. See you there.